When we're researching definitions of words such as the word truth, uh, very delicate subject matter to an extent when you are operating in a world or accessing a world that deals in legal fiction, the law of lawyers. It's a it's not a it's a very sensitive matter to ever bring up with a lawyer because they speak in falsehood just based on the very fact of the construct that they operate in is opposite to free grace, as we've spoken in previous videos. So when you get the word law in its pure sense away from the word legal, because it's not. Legalism promotes something contrary to God. It promotes something that would bring no remedy in essence, because their system is about earning your salvation through works. So it kind of mirrors things that we've talked about in other videos that deal with the old covenant that was spoken about in the Old Testament and not the new covenant that was brought about by Christ. So when we're looking for the word truth, well, we can always remember that the truth will make you free, the truth will set you free. Certainly there is no freedom in fiction. The lie is an abhorrent thing to God, and therefore he hates liars. So when we would speak in fiction, we would actually be speaking something blasphemous against God. And in fact, the term surname, when it shows up in its category in legal, it'll say the name over and above the Christian name, which means it's superior to, which is a blasphemy because it would be saying that the legal world of the lawyers and the devil are basically superior to God's law and superior to his son, Jesus Christ, under his authority. So certainly that would be a blasphemy. So you can imagine the damage we're doing to ourselves each day speaking a fiction when we energize and breathe life into a lie by either our ignorance or our lack of consent. So when we go into Black's Law 4th edition under truth, when I first looked at it, I was trying to get my head around whether or not it was an accurate definition within the legal, possibly twisting it, or was it an accurate definition in the truth of God under natural law? So when I go into truth, it says there are three conceptions as to what constitutes truth: agreement of thought and reality, eventual verification, and consistency of thought with itself. So when we look at truth, truth is a fact. It's not a fiction. Of course, it would have to agree with reality because reality is true. It's not fiction. So when we look up the definition of a surname, even in the Canadian Gage Dictionary, it states that a surname is a name added to one's real name. So inferring it's not reality when we're using anything to do with legal titles. So legal titles are fiction. Warned about in the book of Job 32, 21, 22, that we were not to accept any man's person or these titles, these appellations that are not in truth, because it says that your maker would take you away for doing such an act. So again, we're just going to go through the three things that they say are the three conceptions as to what constitutes truth: agreement of thought and reality. So it has to be in truth and fact together. So the mind has got to be working with truth and fact, not with truth and fiction. Then it says eventual verification, so you'd have to verify it, which would be, as Jesus said, verily, verily, when he was talking about truth. So it's the same as saying truly, truly. Well, you can't speak in truth if you're speaking with a fictitious name. And then it says, and consistency with thought with itself. So you'd be operating in it, your actions would show that, your speech would show it, everything that you're doing is within that. And this is where it's going to take a bit of time of waking up to the truth, the reality of getting real, not getting into fiction. So let's hope that this at least kind of broke it down a bit, and you can see that if you can understand what truth is, even in its definition here, but it also be free from any falsehood. So it couldn't have any fiction attached to it. So you can't merge truth and fiction and then call it truth anymore. It's error at that point.